So abortion, huh?
Yeah, well, some people are against it, some people aren't.
Do you see all that stuff?
Yeah, I've been seeing it happening over in Texas.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe not the craziest,
It's not
but it's up there.
It's I don't know. It's like they're doing like a time trial of like
How far back in time can we go?
How far back can we do it for so many weeks?
Makes sense, by the way, with the Taliban and everything that's kind of taking place in the world. They're just like, you know what, more. That's what we need.
Push the button, keep it going.
Which, by the way, is not what we believe.
No.
And so, if you don't know us, we are the professional hippies. We like to bridge the gap between high achievers, hippie woo woo, and today we got to start. We're starting off strong. We're coming at you, larger and charging.
Woo!
All right, boys, let's remember our training.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends. We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
I agree.
Me too. Yeah.
Oh, man,
definitely the red ones.
What?
The Skittle. I don't know.
Okay. No, I was just seeing all that stuff. We were talking before the intro. Like, it's just absolutely insane to me to think that there is literally a website set up to report people in case they're trying to, make a decision about their life.
Is that? I think I saw something. It's like the anti-abortion hotline or something that you can call if you're thinking about it. You can call this line. It's like
no. So here's the way it works. This guy I follow, Ramith Sahit. Sorry if I got that last name wrong. I will teach you to be rich guy. Super informative, very well educated kind of person. Kind of like a Naval Ravikant that was on Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
Both of these names I might be butchering, but either way, very well informed guys. And he was posting some opinions, and you're seeing this dialogue back and forth. He loves engaging haters. And so here's the way it works: is that if someone is pregnant past 6 weeks, that's considered a living being in Texas. Okay. So if a girl was to go to an abortion clinic and have an abortion, she will not be prosecuted. But anyone else that aids in her abortion can be prosecuted. The doctor, the nurse, the person in the reception area, the fucking Uber driver.
So that's like their way of trying to put a kaput to it.
Right.
Basically, yeah.
So like aiding and abetting instead of going after the person. And so they've set up this website. When I say they, I'm not sure if it's Republicans that have set this up. I'm sure a Republican affiliate in some manner, but someone set up a website to like a Crime Stoppers to report these people. And it went viral on TikTok. And now people have been sending Shrek porn to this website because you can upload an image to assist in the crime.
Oh, no.
Right? As like proof or whatever. And so I'm like, man, it's just like, fuck, dude, it's 21st century. And in some form or fashion, I think this is connected to drugs and not letting adults just choose what the fuck they want to do because you think you've got it a better route, a better opinion, that like what you think is right and what other people think is wrong. And there's enough people on your side. So you're like, I'm right.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, hey, someone else getting an abortion, how does that affect you at all? Now, the same case could be said for murder. Let's just go ahead and play both sides of the fence here. Someone else being murdered doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Till it does.
Yeah.
Right? But I still think that's different.
You know what? I don't even know what's going on over Texas. I just heard about that where they're doing like a free trial. We're going to stop this for a few weeks. But yeah, I'm not even sure. I feel like it's almost goes to guns where the Republicans are like, you can't take my guns. It's my right, my freedom. And it's like, well, then same thing. Women, it's their right and their freedom. They can do what they want with their bodies. Yeah, I don't know why that whole situation's coming along. Everything all right?
Yeah. It was
Jelly Bean getting his catnip delivered?
Actually, right? No, it was my Airbnb was getting food delivered.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You tell them just throw it in the backyard.
the other day I was pretty sure that he got a hooker delivered.
Delivered.
I'm not sure how that works, but I think so.
That'd be like a good concierge around here. You just have that like.
I'm sure the service exists. I mean, I've not been lucky ever finding it, but I'm sure it's out there, right? You know,
You see the pimp sending out front, like, "Hey man, can I get your number? I mean, I run this thing right here." Like, I like to throw it in my concierge book.
you know, good and well, some of those houses down the corner are set up for success. There.
100%.
Hey, look, I don't know what the $5 footlong's up to, but maybe it's $6, maybe it's $7. Can't be much, right? Can't be much.
I was looking for the $3. Get out of here. We're not. Oh my goodness! Yeah, we're talking about the crazy stuff going on in Texas right now.
Oh, when you say we,
I said it was like, let's say it is Republicans and Christians setting out this, and they're trying to go just make that happen, right? That's usually
which, by the way,
who it
as I
is.
understand it, there was no bipartisanship in this at all.
I don't think there would be. in that.
Right. I mean, from what I understood, again, I'm parroting someone here.
Yeah.
Right. The information I was just seeing on Instagram, but it didn't really seem like there was even someone breaking rank on that one.
Yeah, I think it was
Which is weird, by the way. The reason I'm bringing that in is because I would assume there's definitely some Democrats in there that would be like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of it's interesting seeing a lot of states kind of starting to take control on their own and do things. Like before, usually a lot of states followed the federal law and everything that was going on. Let's say, for example, right, this Colorado.
That is how federal law works, by the way. But
I know, but like, let's say Colorado making weed legal. Or
Sure.
in California, they broke against it. They're like, no, we're our own state, we're our own rules. We can do, even though it's illegal federally.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah.
And then the Roe v. Wade, obviously made it legal across the board to be able to do abortions. I believe that's how it worked. I'm not 100% sure, but
I have no idea what you're referencing.
it was it went to the Supreme Court, something that happened of if that abortion was allowed to happen or not, I believe. Man, people are going to crucify me on this probably, but
Good reference.
and it ended up the Supreme Court allowed it. So then it pretty much made abortions legal
Sure.
across all the states. And then some of the states kind of took it upon themselves and said, no, we're not going to do that. So there's several, and it's kind of like with, let's say Florida with the mask mandates, right? Like everyone has to wear masks, and DeSantis is like, no, we can't. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do anything. We're going to be our own state
Right.
type of situation. So it's interesting seeing more states becoming more and more independent as things go along in our lifetime.
Yeah, even the mask thing is super interesting to me because as I'm looking at the data, which is not much, but just trying to form an informed opinion, like the hospitals are filling up and are overcrowded due to COVID. And so...
And my aunt, she is one of the head people at a hospital in Florida, and she's getting both. She's getting vaccinated and unvaccinated people.
Yeah, I think there was a statistic I saw when I was combing through Reddit, because Reddit is just full of trolls just hammering people that are not getting vaccinated.
Very trustworthy people.
Just hammering. I mean, granted, Reddit is a great source for like bipartisan information, like really kind of in the middle. You got to parse through it like anything else, but
To the moon.
they are very much like, if you're not vaccinated, you're a fucking idiot. But also think about the people that are engaging on Reddit. Like the people that post, there's this survey bias, something we learned about in statistics, where the people that would, anytime they send out a survey or any survey in general, there's baked in margin of error for the people that respond to surveys. Survey bias, whatever. There's a statistical term for the people that respond to surveys, because people like you and I, unless we're incentivized, could give a fuck.
Yeah.
You send us a survey in the mail and it's like, sweet, great tender for fire, but
Wipe up everything on the counter with that.
so they have like a deeper understanding. If they've done analysis and broken down like who are the people that are actually responding to this stuff. So all that to say, when you're looking at some of the data that's coming across, you can't trust everything, but it is about 3 to 1 unvaccinated to vaccinated that's landing in the hospital. And it's tough to make like deep generalizations about what the recovery rate is for the people that are vaccinated, because the whole argument is like, take the flu.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason they push the flu vaccine, and they have to forecast that out 2 years, what the mutation is going to be.
Come up with it.
There's some kind of like exponential chance that they're going to get it right.
They start creating the vaccine like a year or two in advance before it even gets there.
Yeah, before it even has a chance to mutate. So the whole idea is that like it's going to give you a better chance than not, which I would believe, sure.
Yeah.
But if you're a healthy individual, it's just one of those things where it comes down to like if you're in the healthy margin versus if you're not.
I agree with that. Yeah, because most of the people that are ending up in the hospital are I think the statistic came out where it was 75 to 80% were pretty much obesity that were ending up in the hospital, right? So it's pretty much...
I mean, how many people are obese in America? What's the rate?
It's so high.
It's crazy.
So high, right?
Yeah.
But then I have heard of very healthy people get COVID, and they're like, yeah,
I know healthy people that have died.
I had no... Wow, all right. Well, I know healthy people that got it, and they're like, yeah, it felt like crap for a few days, and then I was fine after that.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the deal. I also am aware of healthy people that have died from the flu.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you can't take, it's just like anything else. You can't take one thing and make a generalization out of it. And especially when you're talking about something with COVID that has just like such a blanketing impact on every part of life when you're shutting things down like that. And we live in a state where we're not really shut down.
At all.
I mean, I can't really think of anything that is restricted anymore.
No, there pretty much is not.
Right.
And when it's pretty interesting traveling to the places that are shut down. Like when we went to,
it feels fucked up.
It does a little bit. Like when we went to California to go backpacking, when we got into the city, everyone wear your mask, wear your mask, wear your mask. But then like once we got to the outskirts, no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
It was literally just in like these little pockets. Now, when I'm in the airport, don't mind wearing my mask. I don't know what's on that plane. I don't know where all these people are.
I don't mind
from.
wearing a mask on the airport in general, like ever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, hey, Joe Rogan made a really fun joke about that. He's like, you're wearing a mask, someone farts, you're smelling it. What are we doing here? Right?
Great point. It's still going to happen. Whether you like it or not.
Like that smell is particulate.
Did you see he got COVID?
Yeah.
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 After doing his tour in Florida.
Ironic, huh? Tell me that's not good.
That was so funny.
He said he got it after Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Orlando.
Yep. Welcome to Florida, baby.
Welcome to Florida, baby. And then he's like, do you see the memes coming out where he never got the vaccine, but he like took all this other stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which he knows what he's taking. He's got doctors and nutritionists to help him out. But it was just so funny. Everyone's like, avoid the vaccine. Also, Joe Rogan lists all these other supplements.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to sit there and say like, even if you trust a doctor, I love using the example. If you go to a doctor, let's take like antidepressants, for example.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor and you're like, hey, I'm feeling some kind of way, and they want to put you on a mood regulator. And these are the people, some of the most well-educated individuals that we have in society. They have to go through a ringer of 8 or 9 years of like absolutely cramming as much information into their head as possible.
Yeah.
They're like the smartest individuals walking the earth, right? They know more about the body than anything else. And they put you on, let's say, Prozac. If you have an adverse reaction to Prozac, you have one of the side effects. What are you going to do? You're going to go back.
You're going to go back to get something else.
You're going to tell them, hey, this is what's happening. And what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Try something else. So you're talking about like the most well-educated individuals in the world, and still everybody being different. They're just trying to find a lane within a margin of error of like, yeah, we think this will work. Let us know. And so they're just kind of making educated guesses.
Did it work? Well, it caused major diarrhea, so no, it did not.
Yeah, so let's try this other one. And if that doesn't work, and they just kind of keep going round and round on this. And so it's like, yeah, even if you're like, hey, surrounded by doctors, even them, they're like, maybe.
Yeah, you go to, let's say, I wonder too, if you go to 4 different doctors, are they each all going to prescribe the same thing? Because that's what they should prescribe, or are they each going to prescribe something different as well because they're making a little bit of on the side? They push so many, they go on a trip next year to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's the thing, that there's like a lot of regulation around that. So, yeah. I mean, it used to be a free-for-all, but then we had the whole opiate pandemic, which is still very actively taking place. But
yeah, I heard on a podcast the other day, like back in the day in hospitals, there used to be just someone with a cart full of pills going to each room. and they would just hand them out, and they were like, yeah, it was so easy to, they worked in the hospital, and they were like, yeah, it was so easy to steal them back then. He goes, now everything's scanned. They take the scanner, they scan it, how many they're giving you.
Yeah. I mean, the main manufacturer of Percocets, like I don't remember what the slap on the wrist was, like
a
couple $100 million.
I think Johnson & Johnson got something too, but that company specifically, it was a family, and they got slapped with it, and
couple $100 million.
The media was
maybe
trying to
$1 billion?
make it sound like, oh, the family's going to go out of business, and no, they're not.
Fucking good. Fucking good.
They'll just make another name.
When they approved that shit that was just as strong as fentanyl, I mean, like, I can't even remember what the name of that opioid, that synthetic was, and it's just like 100 times stronger than morphine or some shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, granted, I don't have any chronic illnesses, but I have been through a couple surgeries at this point and have a really fucked up back. Pretty decent pain tolerance, but like the people that you're making for that and the it just doesn't add up.
Tell you what, though, when I took it, it was nice.
Dude, I mashed that button so fucking hard.
Oh, nice.
Did you have the button where it's like you mash it and you get a drip?
At first, but when I was like 16, they gave me Percocet and then the strongest Tylenol, like the prescribed Tylenol. They gave me both of those. Yeah. And they were like, just take it as needed. Just let us know. And like, I kept getting refills, and I thank God my mind went to the point where I was like, I just dumped them, and I was like, I'll take the pain for a little while. But yeah, they were amazing. And then 3 knee surgeries later, you just keep getting them.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't love painkillers. It just makes my tongue, here's a really weird thing. It makes my tongue feel super furry, and I don't like it.
It just gets super constipated. It's awful.
Yeah, they call you like first couple days, call you every couple hours.
How you doing? You going to the bathroom?
Do you have a stool? Do you have a stool yet?
Should drop it.
I'm like, ma'am, I've eaten more stool softener than I have food. What
do
I do?
We're going to need you to let us know that you went. What if I don't? What happens?
That first poop is probably like the most gratifying thing ever.
I don't know. It's always the most painful fucking thing I always have to go through.
It's terrible.
But once it happens, you're
poop.
like, all that work.
Yeah, you get the doop, doop. And you're like, but the gates are open.
It's open.
The gates are open.
It's there.
Now, the last time, so when I had my shoulder surgery, I was literally bartering with my friends to come over and keep me company. And thank God for my roommate. I mean, I asked the doctor in so many words, when they called to check on me, because I had the morphine drip. They had like put this line in my shoulder that was just dripping in there. Yeah. And they're like, hey, you can increase the rate, but at a certain point, like it's going to cut it off, right? I'm like, hey, that's cool. They call and check on me. I was like, I know what it says to take, but what is the threshold for what I can take?
Yeah.
And they kind of got the hint of what I was talking about. Here is like stomach ulcer territory. You want to back down before that. I'm like, cool. So I would approach that line, and then my roommate and I would crush up the rest and snort those. So I was like, I just want to see. We didn't have internet for like 2 weeks, and I didn't notice the difference. I just stared at the wall.
Yeah. My when I first got knee surgeries, which was, I don't know, 16, very young, and my mom started helping me. Of course, she's helping me feed me, whatever, get around the house, and then at some point, I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna get a sandwich. And thank God she did this. She goes, get it yourself. And you're like, what? And she's like, you got crutches. Get up and do it. And that's the first time you start doing it. And and she just sits down and watches you go. And you're like pissed off because you want your sandwich. But thankfully she did that, because then that forces you, of course, to start getting out of bed and doing it.
They like have no mercy. I mean, it's like a day they're like really soft with you. The second day they're like, hey, we need you to start moving. The third day they're like, fucking do it.
Think of the athletes that literally the next day they're like, all right, let's go. We're going to get you in physical therapy. We're going to get you up and running. You're going to be back up in 4 to 6 months.
That's their job.
It is wild to me that they can do that. Just that.
But by the way, that physical therapy was the first time I've knocked myself out in a wrestling tournament. I've been kicked in the face by a horse.
Oh yeah, physical therapy is no joke.
First time I've ever experienced level 10 pain. First time I started to go into shock on the table, like literally started going into shock. And so they're all freaking out, running ice packs to me, everything's going geometrical. I'm seeing the black tunnel. And then I hear one of the ladies call for an ambulance. That was the only thing that brought me back.
Wow.
I heard that and I was like,
Bill.
And I came out and I was like, don't fucking call that ambulance. You drive me, but do not call that ambulance. She was like, ah. Oh, college.
By the fourth knee surgery, I already was like, because I knew immediately what I needed to do because I've gone through physical therapy enough.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to my physical therapist, she was like, you got this shit halfway done already. And I was
Right.
like, oh yeah, I know where we're going with this.
I almost beat an old man half to death. I mean, that was just so much rage and anger and pain. I was like crying and laughing at the same time. That's such an incredible level of pain that, well, by the way, too, they also said I had a friend that had the exact same surgery I did.
Yeah.
Labor and repair. Not as bad, because when I was when I was in the physical therapy, I made some offhanded comment, and she was like, how bad do you think your surgery was? And I was like, I mean, you put 6 anchors in, on a scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
I'm a 6. And she was like, sweetheart, there's only 7 points, like, on the clock. She's like, you had one piece of flesh holding your shoulder back on. So it's not a scale of 1 to 10, it's a scale of 1 to 7. I was
scale of nothing's there.
Okay, I got it.
Imagine back, like, let's go before like surgeries. Like, you just had to deal with it the rest of your life. Oh, shoulder's gone. Can't you really use that as
When
much?
you think about how fucked our healthcare system is anyway, like, I had to lie for insurance to cover my stuff, and I'd already gone to 3 doctors. They all said I was fine. I go to a shoulder specialist that they introduced us to. These are the guys that RG3, Rob Gronkowski, all the major athletes go to Pensacola for that guy, Dr. Andrew.
Oh, cool.
And so I just happened to luck out and go to a shoulder specialist. Dr. Roth comes in, puts his thumb in one spot, and like, I'm sorry for the things I said about his mother, but like, I came off of that table. Okay. And he was like, yeah, we can do the MRI for insurance, but like, you need surgery. Like, cool. And so I just so happened to get a shoulder specialist, like one of the top in the field. And right before my surgery, the week prior, he had flown to France to learn this experimental like shoulder thing that they'd done for people like me that had created an artificial socket of scar tissue, because I'd ripped mine 4 years prior, and that's why I was hanging on by a little thread. It created like a rotator cuff of scar tissue. But I lied on the insurance and said it happened like a couple weeks prior.
Yeah.
So they prepped for one surgery and then had to switch it once they opened up my shoulder.
They were like, oh.
They told my sister, they were like, hey, by the way, like, the chances of him being on the operating table with the doctor that could pull this off were like, there was only like 1 in 100 in America.
Wow.
And I happened to be with the guy. He's like, any other doctor would have closed it up, probably would have been insurance fraud. Like they would have gone, like it would have gone a whole different route.
Whoa.
But they were like, you just got lucky. He was like, so I understand, but he's like, moving forward, it's really important to be on the same page with your surgeon.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, the surgeons probably don't care. They're just like, I just need to know what's going on with you, buddy.
yeah, they just had to change it up. So instead of it being like a 2-hour surgery, it was like 4.5, something like that. But
Push my tea time out.
isn't that
You're
crazy though? I'm like, dude, that guy's hella talented.
I got super lucky with mine too, because we I don't know how it happened, but I got the doctor that works on the FSU players, and Dr. Roll, amazing, and he used to play in the NFL, which was kind of cool. And then he was like, "Oh, the NFL's not for me, but I'm really smart." And then became
And he's a surgeon.
orthopedic surgeon. Yeah, and he was the Miami Dolphins medical person, and then Denver's medical person, and then came to Tallahassee to do it for FSU. So he does all the FSU players. And then my brother needed surgery, then my mom needed surgery, my dad. And he was like, by the time I can call now anytime, he's like, oh yeah, you put my kids through private school and college. Like, you can get in anytime. Your family can come in anytime you need. It's like, thanks, Dr. Roll. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. How about that deductible?
Front of the line.
It's crazy to go through the NFL and still have hands steady enough for surgery.
Yeah, he was a receiver. Well, he was a receiver. Steady hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as many concussions probably as a lineman.
Yeah. Yeah. Or he took one hit and he was like, I'd rather operate on people than do this.
Yeah, my dad rented his shop from a guy that played in the NFL, and he owns like half of Panama City, like the downtown area. And the drive that these guys have, it's so crazy. When you see, not all of them, right, but a lot of them, when they get out of the NFL, it's like they're not limited by their body anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Their mind has already been pushed to such a place. Now they're like, the business world, he's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta make phone calls. That's what I gotta do. I gotta make connections.
You got to get a real estate license, sure.
Yeah, they crush it in the
Yeah.
business world just because of where they're at mentally and just like understanding, just showing up every day, being consistent. Meanwhile, I'm over here like
Please pick up the phone.
trying to get a logo figured out.
Yeah, we have that logo coming. That's going to be awesome once we get that thing
I'm fired up for it, man.
out there.
Yeah. Also, like when we have a full blown assistant in the studio,
It's coming, folks.
it's coming.
Keep sharing. The more you share, the more we can make this better for you.
What would Jeff Bezos say? Like, yeah, the more work you do, the more things I can buy
For you
for you.
and me, but
drink,
for you.
Drink their blood. Fuck their wives. Happy birthday, Jeff Bezos.
Come on, let's get to it. Dude, what did you think? Did you see about Bonnaroo got canceled?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Rip,
Fuck 'em.
Rip Bonnaroo 2020, 2021. It was an awful lineup anyways, in my opinion. It went
You're
from
crazy.
a fantastic, just from
Well,
where
that's
it went.
the thing, man. You're looking at a great white, and then you looked at a nurse shark.
That's right. From
Both
where
are cool.
You're right. It would have been a great time anyways. But
Yeah.
to see that lineup go from that to that
It was kind of cute when they sent out an email like, "Hey, here's a 4-hour refund window. Like, if you check your email tomorrow, sorry, we gave you a chance to like. It's our
Yeah.
deepest, sincerest apology."
It was in the middle of the day too. Everyone's getting off of work.
It was
at
like on a
5.
Sunday. It was like a Sunday, like 7:00. They sent that shit out. I was like, and then they have to cancel it in the middle of the week. They're like, yeah. By the way, everyone coming, turn around.
Yeah, they said
It would have been a Tomorrow World all over
We're
again.
trying to reduce the amount of people that are here. So if you'd like to refund, and obviously no one did the refund, or so many people have bought secondhand
Yeah.
that they can't now.
Yeah.
I was seeing pictures of like videos of volunteers trying to get out of there, and the tractor they were using to try to pull people out was also getting stuck out there. So it was just going to be a crap show.
And it's only like really bad at a couple of spots. I feel like a lot of the spots are pretty good as far as the roads, but like that main gate area.
Well, if you think, I was thinking about this of kind of how the farm sits. If you look at the elevation, it kind of comes all down to Center Rue. So I think Center Rue was going to be a really
it's gonna be a
big
shit show.
a mud show.
Yeah. And it makes me feel really good that I wasn't going to go.
Me too.
Yeah, I feel great
Yeah.
about it.
I'm looking forward to Imagine. Woo!
It's like what is with your weak ass woos?
Well, I try not to yell in their ear, so I guess
You just like turn away.
Woo!
Yeah, do like Lady Gaga. Shout out. No, I mean, sometimes you get like a front row parking spot and you're like, thank you, universe. This is one of those
Yeah.
front row parking spots where you're like, hey, I couldn't go. And I'm glad no one else got to go too. I should be genuinely excited. This speaks about something in my internal development that needs to be examined. But
They built a new arch too for it.
Really?
They got rid of that big.
this the one you take all the tassels off of, or the little sticker things.
No, the big. Remember, it was the big like square thing, LED.
I
square
just
thing?
remember the ones we used to pull the little stickers off.
that was the
of.
old one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and then they burned that down.
burn it down.
Yeah, they burned it down because it was just getting old and it was going to fall anyway. So they burned it down and then put
Rock
a
on.
big LED screen
That's metal.
in the middle.
And they rebuilt that.
Well, that was just no. They got rid of that now because everyone complained like this looks horrible. Big LED screen with just the arch on it. So then they built an actual new arch for it.
I mean, hey, rock out.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, EDC, I'm excited about that. That's probably a for sure.
I'm super stoked about that. I've never been to E EDC.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's like Burning Man or
Hulu.
bust. That's really what I'm after.
Looks like there's still people going to Burning Man. Like 10,000 people still going out there.
How many people normally go?
Way more than 10,000. I know that.
Right? I mean, don't they cap it?
They've got to. Yeah, but I know from what I've talked with people that have went, the big arch from like one end of the arch to the other, it's either a mile or 2 miles across of how far it is from each side.
I mean, that sounds huge, but honestly, like at a lot of the places we've been, we've walked like 2 miles to get to our campsite before.
It's true.
Right? if I'm thinking about it, like
Number 11 campsite at Bonnaroo. You look up at that balloon all the way in the back, like, dang it.
But I mean, music festivals are just the best. I mean, I don't care who you are. It's just if it has the type of music that you want, right? And that's the thing about like Halloween. I'd love to go. It's a great time. Just not maybe the lineup I'm looking for.
I'm excited for that one. Excuse me.
Goldfish, Twinkies.
What?
What?
There is a band called Goldfish.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Fish.
No, there is a band called Goldfish. I like them. They're from Europe. They play on the campground stage sometimes at Halloween.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. What festival we go to? Global Dance when we were in Denver.
Yeah.
The doctor person.
Dr. P.
Yeah, I didn't really love that one.
I liked it because I always wanted to see him in the past, and he rarely comes over here and plays. So it was just cool to see him in general.
I think it's just funny. Like the older we get, like it's just your music taste and all that words.
Shrey and I were just like, we just really only wanted to hear the Tetris song that we both knew.
Yeah.
And then he finally played the Tetris song. We were like, Tetris song! And then we just went back to standing there.
No, I mean like RL Grime used to be my favorite artist, and then I saw him live, and I was like, wow, that was kind of like having sex with your high school fantasy. You're like, some things should just be left alone, I guess. You know?
What a fucking analogy, though.
Just
where'd you see him at? RL Grime.
Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo?
Yeah.
Was I there?
Chances are.
Every time I've seen
Yes,
him,
sir.
I've liked him every time I've seen him.
I mean, but the thing is, when you're so fucking obsessed with someone, you listen to all their music, and then they play all the shit you're like,
Oh, I know this.
no twist. Huh.
Yeah, there's no twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. So he didn't throw anything like, oh, I'm at a festival. Let's throw in something different.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you hear like Skrillex is one of my favorite people to see because
Always a
every
great
time
show.
throwing a party
Yeah.
or like Slander.
His
you know,
songs are, I love it when there's songs that you normally listen to on the radio and then they play it live are always a little different. There's like a little twist to that song.
because of the bass.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the actual song itself.
Yeah. They throw in a little something different in
right.
it. Like,
yeah, a little remix or something. Yeah. I mean, those are the people I like seeing, are the ones that like throw a party. Like Hippie Sabotage, I was like, they were. How do you hype up a song that's like chill? You know, like fucking Post Malone. Right back to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're about to play guitar. Like,
Yeah.
What are you talking? Let's rage. I'm like, this is a slow dance song. Like this is like,
everybody get down on the ground and lay down.
like, what are we doing
We're
here?
not going to stare up the stars.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm here for it, man. But it just
Everybody make a cuddle puddle.
you're throwing me a curveball, bro.
Well, it's kind of like Odessa. Odessa's very chill, but they can really get. I guess they don't hype. They're just music speaks for itself.
I think it's because it's a lot of like live. You know, they're creating that up there. You know, there's
Yeah.
something to be said for that. Like when you're watching the music be created versus like a DJ blending stuff together, it's like the DJ has to be a hype man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if you're listening, like Big Gigantic, they're bringing it together.
Good show.
Glitch Mob, SDS9.
Oh, SDS9.
You know, did they say one thing the whole time aside from the whole love, love, love thing?
There was only one other time I think a lady said something,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Thanks for being here. We love you.
They walked off stage, come back, slap that bass.
Oh, God. That woman, that 7th grade science teacher.
She was slapping that bass so hard.
Tell you what, those look like some goofy lips on those strings.
I wanted to be that bass, and she's just. I was like, dang, that bass is going insane right now.
Yeah, man.
And they kept showing her most of the time.
Oh, because she was getting it, bro.
Getting
She
it
had
the
that
whole
flow
time.
face, man. I
Yeah.
live for those guitarists and bassists, any musician.
Like her face
flow.
was like crunched up.
like she smelled some nasty
Yeah,
fart.
the whole time, just. I was like, dang.
That's the face I make when I put on corduroy pants.
Yes.
Touch some chalk.
Oh.
Shout out to all my musicians out there, man. Yeah, past that, I feel like there was one other point that we wanted to address on this podcast, and
I don't know. It'll come back, I'm sure. But looking to go skydiving soon.
have you not been?
I haven't been. My brother and I agreed that we're going to do it together for the first time.
That's cute.
So I wanted to. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I wanted
Hold
to.
hands.
Hopefully, all the way down. So I wanted to
I
go.
don't think they'll let you do that. No, go ahead.
Wanted to do it last year, but we couldn't, of course. So
Why?
it was just things didn't work out.
Okay.
I wanted to do it.
I mean, you said of course.
It was his like 25th birthday, so it's his 26th now. So I wanted to do it last year. So I'm gonna do it this year.
Yeah, you
And I
can't go
found
until
the one over at like the Kennedy Space Center goes up to 18,000 feet for your if you want to do a tandem jump.
Yeah.
Supposedly the highest one you can go. I'm gonna
They'll do that in Lakeland.
in the Lakeland one. I think I think of the Kennedy Space Center because then we can fly over. They said they'll fly over all the launch sites now. Which is
That'd
pretty
be
cool.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do that.
and I was gonna get the video crew to do something, fly down with us.
I mean, just get chill with the guy because when I was on the way down, I mean, the guy was pushing that whole.
I want to backflip out of the plane.
They might let you do that, or they might. I mean, not let you do it, but they'll do it with you attached to them.
They will do it basically.
I mean, I told my guy, he was like pushing the whole video package. He's like, "You sure you don't want it videoed?" And I was like, "I could give a fuck." I was like, "If I like it, I'm gonna do it again. If not,
I'll be back here if I like it.
yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, it's all good, man. I just make a little bit extra money for that." And I was like, "Here's the deal: you do some cool shit, and I'll give you a tip. Like, I don't know how much you make off of that. I was like, $70. I'm not giving you a $70 tip, but let's do some cool shit." And he was like, "Okay." On the way down, he let me like do the handles, taught me how to do the turns and shit. And I was doing it. I was like, "Woo, this is fun." And he was like, "Stop being a pussy and fucking." Oh, we went sideways, and I was like, "Oh shit." Okay, all right.
Were you
No.
like spinning?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I literally thought I was gonna shit myself.
Wow.
And he doesn't give you any heads up when he's gonna like relax the straps a little bit, and I just like felt that like lurch. Whew.
Yeah, I had a buddy that did it once. He said they didn't tell him that they do that.
Yeah,
They do that little drop.
Yeah. There was one recommendation I had. I don't. It was either the goggles were fine. It was something to do with like if they have an option for a helmet or whatever with your ears. It did fuck up my ears a little bit because I flew in a plane like a week or two later,
Yeah.
and I've never felt that level of pain in my ears.
From like pressure?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
The same thing happened with my buddy Carlos. He just got his whatever certification to skydive alone, and he says
Congrats on that. That's
skydiving and then goes on a plane flight. Like something with your sinuses, it'll just jack your sinuses up a little bit because you're not whatever.
Has it been like that ever since, or it just happened that one time?
Just happened that one time because the last time I flew, I was like so freaked out when I got to where I was going. And I had to get back on the plane and come home. I bought, I spent like $30 at CVS to get all kinds of sinus clearing shit. And it helped a little bit, but like, I swear to God, I thought they forgot to press a fucking button. I didn't understand how the rest of the plane wasn't freaking out. I was like, the amount of pressure, it felt like ice picks in my ears.
Yeah.
And the only way I could get it stopped was we're like at baggage claim. And it was like fucking screaming pain, like extremely uncomfortable.
So even after you got off the plane, it was crazy?
And so because of what happened, there's little bubbles trapped in my sinuses, in my sinus ways, right? And so like I had to put my head upside down at baggage claim, and like that helped a little bit, and it was like ripping flesh is what it sounded like. It felt like, and I just had to do a good rock and roll, and like
eventually pow, pow, pow.
It took like 2-3 days. I would I was just sleeping, and it would just rip and wake me up, just the bubbles working their way out. So you get that to look forward to.
Fantastic.
That doesn't happen to everybody, by the way. I just got jacked up ears.
Probably me.
And I had like some sinus stuff going on. So.
Well, we know me at festivals, so the ears are probably jacked up anyways. I've got to start wearing earplugs.
Did I bring up the whole thing when I went hunting and forgot about earring protection?
I don't think so.
I'm sitting in this tree waiting for this fucking hog for like 3 hours, right? Not to mention these mosquitoes are like taking my lunch, and I'm like, ugh. And I saw one present himself, but I couldn't get the shot because he's like around my shoulder. So my buddy comes, picks me up, and he's like, let's go check by my feeder. They try and get in this feeder every now and then. And sure as shit, I spot one. And so we hop out. It's like perfect feeling where it's like super tactical, right? I'm like holding the AR, and I'm like, yo, stop right here. There's one. And so we spot two. So I swing around the back of the ATV and post up, and there's a little awning on this Polaris. Hadn't shot a gun in probably 6-7 months. Totally out of my awareness to have hearing protection. Oof. Pull the trigger, and just immediate hearing damage. Just that deafening, and I wafted the shot, right? But they didn't move. And so I'm like, within a split second, you're like, you got to put them down. So I had to pull the trigger again. And then it was like the rest of the night was on, that not mute, but it has the option for partial mute.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
whole rest of the day and into the next. I was just like, it's not like I'm working with a lot of hearing as is. We're not like, I can afford to lose those hearing cones. Or
Yeah, I
whatever the
hated that
fuck
when
is
I
in
went
there.
hunting and I forgot earplugs, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to eat that later potentially.
But I brought the ones we use at the music festivals, and that definitely helps.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start wearing those at music. I used to not care, and now I'm getting older. I'm like, ooh, I should definitely,
yeah,
100 million
dude.
% start
It's
wearing
not worth
earplugs.
it. I'm like, I don't care. You know, it just hurts. It literally hurts at this age.
I didn't notice that until the past couple of festivals I've been to. The pain has started hitting more, and I'm like, that doesn't feel good anymore.
Super uncomfortable.
Yeah,
But it didn't used to be like that.
at all.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably because more and more damage being done, it fucking starts hurting more and more.
Yeah, it's just interesting that it hurts instead of it just like going away.
I wonder too is if because as you get to know where to stand better in the crowd, you get most of the blast then. So because you learn where the best spot is to stand, now you're like, oh, now I'm gonna get the full brunt of the whole thing.
It's an interesting way of saying where the ass is.
Where the ass is?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I usually stand where the ass is.
Where the ass is that a sound technical term? I have no clue.
Yeah, so like when a boy likes a girl.
Jesus.
All in good time, buddy. All in good time. right. Yeah,
Over
that's,
my
that's
head.
where I like to stand.
Over my head.
But by the sound guys is typically, or the, audio effects people. I don't know what you'd call it, visual.
Laser people. I call them laser people.
That poor laser guy at the...
You at the Imagine you can buy tickets to be near where those people are. Like you can go into the booth where they're working and everything. It looks like
That's
like
cool.
if you want to get to, it's like the producer add-on is what they call it or something.
Yeah.
And you can go near where they're working and everything to like see what they're doing. It's like an add-on you can add on to the ticket. I thought that was pretty neat.
That is kind of interesting. But normally, like, you can just do that. So I wonder what the difference would be. Maybe they just, like, keep people a little bit further away.
My guess is it's probably in a spot where it's just a better visual spot. So like think they might have it higher up.
Right.
So now because you're higher up, you have kind of a better visual of everything going on. So you're like, you can pay to be up in this booth,
Yeah.
basically,
That might be worth it.
is my assumption on that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, shout out to Justin if you'd like to get on the fucking show.
Justin, we want you back, man.
Yeah.
We want you. We want you on. That's what we
I want
want.
him back. I feel bad.
Why?
It was my fault. I drove him away. I was too clingy.
He does have some nice lasers.
He got some real nice lasers. I want to see them lasers, Justin.
I want to do it again. I want to do it right in the middle of where that warehouse is.
Right?
In the middle of it.
Like, how many high-profile people do we have having on this fucking show? I'm sorry it's not Diplo. Sorry I'm not Drake. Is that what I got to do? Is that who I got to be?
Just put some
It's
couple
going to turn
sound,
into a lifelong conquest to get another man's attention for some lasers.
put a couple SoundClouds out. Get on. We should.
Auto-tuned.
Couple autotunes. We should make the lasers when we record with them look like a boxing ring, like around us. That'd be kind of cool.
See the potential there. Dude, I'll tell you what, man. After today, all this rain we've had the last couple of days, I went to the gym. I don't know what made me think of this. I think just having lasers in the gym. I'm so ready for that fucking truck.
Yeah.
So ready for that truck.
I talked to a previous Ford engineer, head of like Ford engineers
Okay.
for a little while, and he's helping him with his business, and he's starting his own thing now. But I was like, hey man, what's like a good time going forward to buy trucks? Like what's with chip shortages? I'm sure you kind of know a lot about all this. And he was like, well, he goes, Ford really wasn't hit by the chip shortage too bad. He goes, Chevy was hit pretty bad by it. Dodge was hit by it. Toyota was too. But like the Honda, the new trucks, he's like, they weren't hit too bad. If you want to buy a truck, he goes, you want to do like November, December. That's when the best time is to buy a truck because they're trying to get rid of their old models because they're going to have a huge shipment coming in. And for the new year. That's why they don't usually do sales between like January and March because people are coming in for the new year to buy stuff. And then that's where you have like the big Labor Day sale. because now they're like, all right, now we need to get rid of some of it.
Yeah.
But if you do like November, December, they're trying to get rid of it. So that's when you get like good deals going on. And he goes, the Ford trucks are really good. He goes, I'm a little biased because I worked for them. And then he goes, I worked for, was it Honda that came out with their own version of a truck?
Yeah.
He worked for Honda for a little bit too. He's like, if you're not, but I told him what we're looking for. He's like, all right, don't go for the Honda then. But he was like, Toyota and Ford. He goes, I would go after those if you're looking for like a good deal. He goes, if you want like a Chevy, you're going to have to wait a little while to get like a pretty decent deal.
Yeah. I'm probably not waiting very much longer. What am I going to save? $2,000, $3,000?
Yeah, at that point.
You know? I just found it interesting when I talked to the guys in Miami, and I was like, hey, if we can get this deal done over the phone, like, I'll buy the truck right now.
Yeah.
And like, we can't do that.
Why?
What? I'm like, what? I don't know. I think it was just that salesperson. I got to call it back. It's part of this thing. So, you know, maybe to shift the energy a little bit, one of the things that I've really been welcoming into my life in the last month or so is this idea around money. And that same guy that I mentioned towards the beginning of the podcast, Ramith Sahith, something like that, you know, I'll teach you to be a rich guy, really does talk about money as a relationship. Right. And it helped me understand the connection between something, you know, a previous mentor of mine had said around, you know, rarely do good things come out of bad energy. You know, good things typically come out of good energy. And so it's about establishing a relationship with money so that when you are talking about it, it's good. When you are engaged with it, it's good. And just having like, you know, some boundaries and, you know, of course there's some guiding principles in there. But one of the things I've really been trying to wrap my head around the last month or so is, you know, what does my rich life look like? Understanding that money is an energy and an exchange. And like going out to dinner the other night and having a $200 dinner. I was like, it's not an experience I typically value. But because the person I was with did really value it, you know, that's a great feeling. Right.
I had that too not long ago where, you know, Chrissy and I were in Atlanta. We went to this really nice restaurant we'd never been before. And I looked at the menu and I was like, this is a pricey menu. But the menu was like an experience. Right. And then I was just like, and I looked at her and I was like, no budget. Let's have some fun here. Let's see what
fuck yeah.
And we just went through it. And man, that was a blast.
Right.
We had a great time at that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was worth every penny. Like I would never normally go out and spend that type of money on a thing, but I was just like, that was worth every penny spending on this food and drink tonight.
And I think it also comes back to like, you know, if that's not a habit, right? Yeah. Like there's something special about that experience. I just typically do regard more experiential things to blow money on. Like I want to go to iFly. I want to do the indoor skydiving, you know, or like going out, like renting a boat or something where it's like food. Typically, I don't know what it is about food. Maybe something to do with my upbringing or something. It's not something that I typically value very much. So now going through this book and listening to this guy's content, one of the things that he helps me understand is that like there should be pillars in your life that you do not second guess spending money on. It's part of what he calls your rich life. For him, it's anytime he goes to a restaurant, always getting an appetizer. Because he's like, growing up, his family could never afford appetizers. It's one thing they always had to forgo. So for like his rich life, and the guy is like really well off, right? Yeah. But this is like one of the things that the pillars that started him on that path. He was like that. And, you know, another thing of his rich life is like money, when planning a trip, money never being the first, second, third, or fourth concern. That it should be like logistics, destination, like figuring those things out, and then money will become a concern. But he's like, money shouldn't, like you know, so certain things like that. And I realized for me, I was like, yeah, I mean, getting this truck definitely would represent to me upgrading that life. Especially
for you, man. You deserve, like, you've held on to that thing for a while. Right. It is time for an upgrade.
Yeah. And so, I called my boss and I was talking through with him about, you know, I was like, hey, is it an emotional buy or whatever? Like, should I wait out a little bit? So when I get back from the trip from Mexico, that's when I'm going to pull the trigger on it.
See if you can buy a truck in Mexico and drive it across.
I can't.
Really? Oh, we
Yeah.
talked about that, I think.
sure did. Yeah.
We're like, nope, can't bring that over here.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't register it here, right? So, yeah, just kind of interesting thing with around money and just learning more about it. And I reconnected with Chris, my financial advisor, about establishing more habits, having a monthly conversation with him, a standing call every month. And I was like, hey, if we get one thing done every month, just one thing, right? Whether it's making sure my Roth is topped off, making sure this money market's invested, making sure that I'm talking to my CPA, et cetera.
Yeah.
If just one thing happens every single month, that's literally 12-fold the action I've taken up to this point in my life. You know, I've taken like 4 or 5 action steps towards my finances. So
I talk about that because I've been meeting with a financial advisor as well and going through those steps of just getting everything in order. And I was just like, how many people at my age are doing this? And he was like, I mean, there's a lot, but there's not as many as there should be doing this.
Yeah. Well, it's the people that typically have money left over.
Yeah.
You know, like the last 2 months have been kind of a fuck off when it comes to generating my income. But, you know, there was other principles at play. Oh, and this is one of the things I brought up that, you know, my boss invested in this coaching program. And holy fuck, it is. See, I thought I knew sales, which granted I do, you know, like I'm definitely in the 1% of the 1%, but there is a whole nother fucking level to sales that I did not understand the art behind this guy selling coaching packages. So the guy that we're learning from now is the guy that sells like Tony Robbins or Dean DeGracio, like some of these, like, you know, the high profile.
Is he like a broker for the high profile?
He literally has, like, he did really well, created his own company, and now his whole deal is like, hey, I'm kind of a broker. Like, I'll train the sales reps or the setters, whatever you need, and you'll just buy them from me. I'll just handle the whole process for you.
Being so big that you can you can, what is it? Outsource your training for sales.
Yo, he trains people how to sell $100,000 packages.
Wow.
And so
yeah.
Now that I'm going through this stuff, I'm so excited and revitalized.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't know this level. I mean, I knew it existed, right? But like to have someone walk you through the philosophy and the understanding of like a very low key, low pressure way of like, hey, here's what I have. These are the needs you have. Let's see if they line up. Holy fuck. I've been just diving into that this week, and it's so dense, man. Like this guy's depth. And, you know, I consider myself to be kind of like a more of a natural salesperson where it's very difficult for me to sometimes teach people what I do. 'Cause it's more of an intuitive feeling. It's like feeling based, like I'm reading energy, like my gut feeling, and kind of like I just felt like this is the way the conversation was going.
Sure.
I'm almost convinced this guy didn't know a fucking thing about sales because he can go through it in such a pragmatic fashion and break down like the terms and the methodologies and the frameworks and like describing so articulately what he's doing. I'm like, what the fuck?
He has it down pretty regiment, what he's doing and everything.
To a fucking T.
Yeah.
To a fucking T. I'm like, how can you even regurgitate this volume of knowledge is just beyond me. It's like someone that is like so organized. And I mean, obviously like I'm fanboying right now, but it's just really cool, man. You know, I think it also goes back to the value of, investing in yourself and being a part of a program where you're like, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know, if I really embrace this and wrap my arms around it, it's a skill I'm going to have the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And also being able, understanding how to communicate, understanding someone's needs, what I can provide if it aligns, and how to bridge that gap, right? Because now I'm getting off the phone with clients that are signing up and they're thanking me.
Yeah.
They don't feel sold.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm selling.
Yeah.
It genuinely feels like it's a win-win.
Yeah, my sales process is like a 60 to 90 day. So it's like a really long, like walking them through. Let's see what your needs are. Let's see where my service can be able to step in and help that. Oh, and then by the way, there's other competition that's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, where do we outlier? And it's just like a very long process sometimes, but I do like it because it is a super more consultative approach, right? Like there's other companies that do what I do, but like at a much smaller scale, and they can just sling it over the phone. But it's really nice getting to know from a consultative approach, getting to know my clients, like what your needs are, what do you like to do on the weekends anyways, like when you're not at work? And then, you know, you get to provide value outside of just like business, which is really nice.
Yeah. What I love about this call is it's just transitioning straight into business. You know, before, like, especially in Cutco, like I relied so much on my talent to sell and like ability to build rapport that just wears you out. It just flat out wears you out, man.
Yeah.
When you like are pretending to give a fuck all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, I want to, yeah, let's talk about brass tacks, right? Like, what are your problems? And now that I'm having conversations around helping people build their business as opposed to, you know, solving someone's dull knives in the kitchen needs, which, yeah, hey, there's a, you know, obviously a clear need for that. And I love all my clients with that. But
I always wonder for some of the, like I went to a brewery the other day, Coppertail, and one of the people on our fantasy football team works there. And that's where we were doing the draft at. And he gave us a little tour of it. And then we go to the back, and there was a huge machine. It was like the bottling machine. And then one of the people in our group was like, oh, I know the guy that like sells those. And I was just like, that? Like, who's the salesman that's selling that thing?
yeah, there's a market for everything.
You know, like who's the person that goes to a brewery and is like, I have a machine that'll speed up your bottling process, you know? But then I'm like, who's the salesman that goes to a rocket company and is like, I have better O-rings than your other person, you know, at a better price.
Yeah.
There's a salesman literally for everything, but it's
We're all selling
interesting.
something.
It's interesting to see what there are salesmen for,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, the thing that I love about what I'm doing now is that it's like, it's very transformational. You know, helping people build their own business is like, man, the fruits that come from that labor is just absolutely insane. You know, I'm excited to see what comes of it in the next couple of years too, because I would love to build my own business, but more as like not a solopreneur. You know, I would definitely love the idea of being an entrepreneur, but like having time freedom as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, the next level looks like making 30, 40 grand consistently a month. And then, you know, well, what's past that, right? Like, I don't know.
1 million.
I'm really excited about the idea of having $1 million in the bank, right? But also sharing what we learn along the way.
Sharing with everybody.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of this podcast.
For sure. Everyone's along with the journey with us as we go along and learn how to let us make the mistakes. We'll make the big ones. You make the small ones.
Yeah. All right, buddy. You about ready to put a bow on this thing?
Yeah, I got to go see if my Bulls lost or not today. College football season started. So last I checked, they weren't looking so good.
Yeah, go Gators.
We're playing them, by the way. USF and UF are playing. I'm not lying. It's going to be not very good for USF, but
yeah,
it's going to be a fun. You should get tickets to that.
I don't know who our quarterback is this year.
You should get tickets to that. We're doing a tailgate and everything.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. When is it?
September 11th.
That's coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll check that out. All right, guys. Hey, if you like this podcast, please share it on your Instagram or Facebook if that's
love it.
Your thing.
Brush up against that subscribe button.
Don't be afraid
Blow on
to
it, kiss
back
it.
it up. Tap that ass.
Push against it.
But share it. Love it. We love you guys.
Hump
See you
it.
later.